Welcome back to another edition of the Optimize Weekly Market Recap. I'm David Ferreira, and as always for today's recap, we'll take a look at last week's activity in the markets as well as what we're watching for in the week ahead. The TSX was the clear winner last week, while US equity indices took a breather on the back of last week's inflation data. The TSX finished the week up 117 basis points. The Dow finished the week down 11 basis points, the S&P down 42 basis points, while the Nasdaq pulled back about 1.3% on the week. Looking at sector performance, both energy and materials were the strongest performing sectors for the week, while technology and consumer discretionary were the weakest. And looking at the events from this past week, the big news last week was certainly the release of US inflation data. As measured by the CPI, inflation came in at 3.1% year on year. While this was lower than the December's 3.4%, it was higher than market expectations for 2.9%, largely due to greater price pressure within the service sector. Looking at business sentiment, the National Federation of Independent Business Optimism Index came in at 89.9, slightly lower than December, but still a very healthy level. Notably, larger firms were generally more upbeat about their economic prospects for the rest of the year, with a higher proportion of capital outlays expected relative to the smaller businesses. And in Canada, housing took center stage thanks to reports on home sales and prices. Alongside the latest data on home building, home sales increased for the second straight month in January, benefiting from lower borrowing costs in recent months, favorable weather conditions, and ample pent-up demand. And for the week ahead, the main focus this week will certainly be the publication of January's CPI report for the Canadian economy. The data released early this morning looked very promising, with the Canadian headline CPI figure at 2.9%, much better than the expected 3.3%. And we'll see how investors digest this news over the rest of the week. In the US, the housing market update will be provided by the release of January's existing home sales data, and we'll also be keeping an eye on the FOMC meeting minutes in the US for commentary around last week's CPI data and what to expect moving forward. Additionally, a few big names are on deck to report earnings this week, including Walmart, Nvidia, and Suncor, to name a few. Certainly no shortage of excitement in the markets last week, with more to come in the week ahead. As always, thank you for watching, and see you soon.